have those feelings with, sorry, it cut off before, with, with my own. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't expect people to understand me anymore. Like I used to want it, and I used to crave the acceptance of people who I didn't even know. And then when I realized and I sat down with myself and I'm like, these people don't even know who I am. I don't even know them. They don't know me. Why am I craving this stuff from them, you know? But, that's another thing that Chiga taught me too, and living on the road and living a very nomadic, transient life, is that letting go of stuff that doesn't serve you and not holding on to pointless, useless things in your life. That's where your freedom comes from a lot of the time. So, and people say that, but like to really understand it and to really live that life, they're not about it. And that's fine, maybe it's not their time yet. We all have our times when we're supposed to do something, when we're supposed to be living a certain kind of way. And that's it. I really don't have much else to say. I I know I don't want to feel pride, like the unhealthy, toxic kind of pride. I am proud of myself for what I'm doing in my life. I'm proud of myself for living in truth. I'm proud of myself for living in authenticity. I'm proud of myself for not lying to myself. But feeling pride, I don't want to feel pride over other people, and I don't want to feel superior to other people. I don't want to place myself in an inferior place to other people just to make them feel kind of okay with me. I don't want to do that either. And I don't do it. And for some people, I realize that not lowering myself makes them feel as if I'm judging them. Well, that's a conversation that they need to have with themselves, and that's not something that I can control or cure. So, yeah, when I started understanding that this journey that I'm living is a very solitary journey. Um, I realized that just because I accept that people don't know me and that people don't like me, it doesn't make the journey easier. It's like, okay, you still have this group of people who they don't like you, and some of them might even be wishing you ill. Some of them might even be wishing bad things for you. And what are you gonna do about that? I can't stop living my life. I can't stop doing what I'm doing just because there are people out there who don't understand me, or they wish I would fail, and they wish I would, like, when I really felt it is when I was traveling through Hungary, and when I was traveling through Croatia and they kicked Chigal and pushed her over and took my stuff. Like, that's when I really felt that people wanted me to fail, you know. Uh, and when I was in, I remember when I was in Albania before, the first time I ever came to Albania, and I was staying at this place, this hostel. It was like a hostel B&B type place. And one of the owners had a brother, because it was a married couple, and one of them had a brother. And the brother, I was talking to the brother about stuff, and he was saying to me, "Well, you couldn't do this," and he just was so negative with me. And I was like, "Well, I can do it." And I said, "Whatever I can't do," I was like, "I'll just learn it, and then I'll teach it to my daughter." And he was like, "No, you can't do that." I was like, yeah, "Yes, I can." Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, when it comes to like education, like I don't know what you're talking about because like all you have to do is learn it. Like, and if you can't learn it, if it's something I don't know, I just get somebody else who knows it to teach it to her. Like I remember when we were wanting to learn about Yugoslavia, so I found some people who were here during the times of Yugoslavia, and I asked them to talk to my daughter about it. I mean, most people when they find out you want to learn something about them, they're so eager to tell you stuff and so eager to teach you things about their history that is if it's something that I don't know, then somebody else knows it. But just this whole negativity and this whole idea around the fact that just because something hasn't been done before that I couldn't do it, it blew me. And I was just like, wow, like people really out here not rooting for me. You know what I mean? And it changed my whole way of living because for a long time I was living for other people, and I was living, even with being mentally ill and having several mental illnesses, I always felt like I'd have to do extra stuff to get people to want me in their life and to get people to love me and to do all this extra stuff. And I realized that, like, if somebody is gonna like you, they're gonna like you. If somebody's gonna love you, they're gonna love you, period. You doing all this other stuff and trying to form yourself into this ideal person in their eyes, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. And when I realized that, it was like, okay, wow, like, everything is okay with me. Like, everything is great. It's like, no, bitch, a lot of the people that you meet ain't gonna like you. And I was like, when I really had to sit with that and hold that in my hand and to understand what that meant, like it broke me. Like it hurt me because from my entire childhood, it was about present yourself this way, even if all this shit is going on back here. Like, present yourself this way, make people like you, make sure you represent your family well. And it's just like, what? No, no. But a lot of people, a lot of us are raised that way, that we have to present a certain us to the world. And no matter what's going on up here or in here or in here or around us, we still have to maintain this facade of perfection and this facade of everything is okayness and this facade of I'm the ideal person for you in your life. How on God's green earth can you be the ideal person for everybody? The weight of that, the burden, the lying to yourself, the lies you will have to tell yourself to maintain this idealistic view. It's taking us to our graves. So I'm not for it. I'm very much against it. And I realize that this is a time in history, if it hasn't been repeated multiple times over already, but this particular one in history where the lies are being seen as the truth, you know, and it's a shitty truth to accept, but it is what it is. I've learned that you not just survive, you can thrive in your own life and not have people like you because somebody said it a long time ago and they said it wonderfully. You can survive on your own, right? And by on your own, I mean you can get through life without people liking you. And this is something that we as human beings, it's like we're fighting the truth of this. Everybody doesn't need to like you. Your own family might not even like you. Some of them might not even love you, right? And you might not like or love them, and that's okay, right? It might change in your life. You might later on in life, you guys might begin to understand each other more and stuff like that. But your life is not meant to be lived for other people. And other people's life is not meant to be lived for you. The things that we do for each other, right? In my opinion and in my experience, they are necessary things, things that needed to happen, right? But this whole idea of the core of your life, the crux of your life, being meant for somebody else, I just don't agree with that. I think a lot of this comes from like religion too, because if even if you just look at the Christian religion, right, and you have this being, Jesus, Jesus Christos, as I like to call him, one human being who sacrificed for the entire world, right? So all of us kind of like put ourselves up against this individual, right? This hero of humanity. And we say, well, I have to be the most altruistic, the most self-sacrificing, the most Jesus like that I can be. And it's like, but you're not ever going to be that person. You're not ever going to be Jesus Christos. You're not even gonna come close. If that individual, if what this individual did is true, you're not gonna come close. This person was a heavenly being, okay, who came down here and sacrificed themselves for the world. And if you really study the Bible, he only lasted 33 years. And most of that time wasn't spent in suffering. It was, I would say, maybe the last 5 years of his life. And people are expecting to go through their whole lives like with this self-sacrificing Jesus like, you know, struggle. And it's like, you're not ever going to do that because you're trying to live your modern life based on a very, very old time when things were 180 degrees different from in certain respects. Some things are the same. But a lot of the ways people behaved and moved in life, you can't compare it to this time. You know? Be the best person you can be. If you can look in the mirror every night before you go to sleep and you are okay with yourself and you say, you know what, I can lay my head down tonight and if I don't wake up in the morning, I'm good. If you can do that every night, I think Jesus will be like, bravo. If you need Jesus to clap for you to feel good about yourself, then he will be clapping. Okay. Um, but to say there's a because I've read the Bible extensively, and there's a part in the Bible where it says, "Mark the perfect man," right? And so everyone said, "Oh, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to set Jesus Christos as the mark, as the goal, and then we're supposed to aim right for Jesus Christos and try to live how he lived, do what he did." And so you see people even in when you look at social media influencers, you see them trying to like present themselves as the good one, the altruistic one. There's one in particular I'm thinking about where everybody thought this person was our modern day Jesus Christos. And it turned out that he's probably one of the most not so altruistic people that we know now, not doing so, not treating people so great. So this whole idea, and that's just one example, but these examples are repeated over and over again throughout history. You take Martin Luther King, people say he was a cheater. You take some of our greats, and they were slave masters, and treated people like crap, but they also did these other good things. So everybody's trying to be like 100% perfect and 100% good and 100% like Jesus, and so much, and it's not working. We could not ever be these people, and I'm not saying that because I'm like everybody should just be lazy and don't try to be a good person. No, I'm saying it because we've tried it. We've tried to be somebody else for so long that we don't even realize that we're supposed to just be ourselves. If Jesus Christos really did that, that was fantastic. To sacrifice yourself for the entire world, my Lord, amazing, amazing. But what people do in their lives now is amazing. Sometimes I look at these videos of these parents who are, excuse me, who have children who can't necessarily care for themselves. And to me, that's one of the most amazing things you can do. You know, I see people who, although they might be neighbors to someone, they might not be, best friends with the person. And I watched this one video not too long ago where this little boy, he was about 7 or 8 something, he was getting attacked by this one of the neighborhood dogs, and one of his neighbors saw it, and he just, without even thinking, just ran full force, giving all full Usain Bolt, and he ran to stop the dog. He wound up getting bit, but he saved the baby, 7 or 8, and it's like that's amazing. Why is everyone trying to be one person? We all need to be like this one person. No, you see people, like for example, when I see people living their lives and doing these amazing things, I'm like, well, what are you doing? What are you capable of? What talents do I have? And sometimes the jealousy creeps in, and I'm like, look at them, and then I say to myself, you're only jealous of them because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in your life. And that's the God's honest truth. Who in their life can do what Jesus did? That's such a toxic goal to set for ourselves. Who can be Jesus in this lifetime? No one. Only Jesus could have been Jesus. Only Allah, if he's around. If he's around, hey Allah, what's popping? Muhammad, whomever is out there, they could only have been that person. We are not them. They are not us. Okay? Could Jesus have been Usain Bolt? I don't know. He was running in Birkenstocks. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Like, stop trying to be somebody else. But the issue is that most people probably will still continue to try to be like somebody else because it's in everything we do. Not being ourselves is at the core of it. When we're in school and we're taught, there's gold, silver, and bronze. All Everybody else doesn't matter. So you have to be one of those three, right? Who's the top person? You understand what I'm saying? Who did the best? And like somebody said, well, there can be healthy competition. There can be, but it usually isn't. You know what I mean? People could not hate each other, but that ain't working out so well for us either. You know, we could all be quote unquote good people, but we are not. We could all worry about ourselves and focus on us being good people every day and not be eyeballing other people's lives and pointing out the mess in their lives so we don't feel so shitty about ourselves. We all could do that, but we don't. So, this whole idea of making these perfect people your goal in life, no. Now, are there people in my life who I admire? Yes, Martin Luther King Jr. is one of them. I'm aware he wasn't perfect. Petufi Shandor is another one. I'm aware he wasn't perfect. Nikola Tesla is another one. I'm aware he wasn't perfect. You know, I remember I was reading about Frederick Douglass, and I was so proud of Frederick Douglass. I'm like, oh my God, black journalist, black man, free black man doing what he's doing. But then I read some shitty stuff about him, and I'm like, oh my God, was he really like? I think they say he was like a colorist or something. I'm like, oh God, no, now I can't like Frederick Douglass anymore. And it's like, no, I can still respect what he did, and I can also not like the shitty things that he did. That's what I mean about there not being any absolutes, you know. Where there are people, you read about Madam C.J. Walker, and they said she invented the creamy crack, the relaxers. And then, especially me, as a naturalista, I'm very, interested in how to take care of my natural hair and stuff like this, but also into taking care of my natural hair, you learn about the other way people live and the other things people do with their hair. And I used to have a relaxer in my hair. When the last relaxer I put in my hair was about, there's actually a picture of it because I was working in Hungary at the time, and the local newspaper, they interviewed me, and at that time I had about a month or two of new growth, so you could see it's online somewhere. You could see the picture, like I had like this much new growth, and then my hair was straight. And after that, I stopped using a relaxer, right? And then I started shaving my head off and all this stuff like that. But when I was looking at the about Madam C.J. Walker and the creamy crack and all this stuff, the way they proposed for us as recently no longer enslaved individuals, they put it to us like, hey, if you use this product, this chemical in your hair, then you'll have a much easier time of the white folk liking you. And it's like, today, through my modern eyes, I could be like, oh my God, I would never, I don't give a shit if he. But at that time, being accepted by white people, that was how you survived. You got to understand the context of everything. Like, you had formerly enslaved, and some of them were still enslaved, and a lot of these people, both on both sides of the on the enslaved side and the side of people who were masters, they still had these mindsets like, these enslaved individuals are not human beings. These enslaved individuals are our property that just got stolen from us. We don't have to treat them right. We don't have to treat them as human beings. And you have the enslaved and formerly enslaved individuals who are like, hey, these people don't really, they not really chill with me like that. They not loving me, they not liking me. Half of them either want to kill me or beat me. So if this creamy crack is gonna ease the path a little bit, I'm gonna do it. Now the naturalistas of today looking at that like, how dare they? That's just another way that they took us from us. You take our hair, you take our freedom, you take our children, you take our cultures and traditions. I don't really like that word culture, but our ways, our traditions. Now you want to, but you can't. A lot of times we like to use our modern eyes to look at other things. Even in my own life, the me of today, I can't judge the me of 20 years ago. There was different times. You know what I mean? The stuff I did 20, 25 years ago, I wouldn't do that today. The way I let people treat me, the way I treated other people, I wouldn't do that today. But I did it then. And the me of 20 or 25 years ago would look at the me of today like, probably be like, traitor, you don't do this, and I can't believe you doing this, and you allow people like, the me of, what I mean by traitor is the me of 20, 25 years ago. The way that I kind of like let stuff roll off my shoulders now, the me of 20 or 25 years ago would consider me a traitor. Why are you not yelling at them? Why are you not standing up for yourself? Why are you not telling them how stupid they are? Because they're stupid, all this stuff. I don't want to be that person today, right? Even if I know that people are living in ignorance, because they do, but, you know, I'm not sitting up in here name calling nobody. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Why am I not doing it? First of all, it's a hurtful thing to do. Second of all, it's a waste of time. Third of all, it's a waste of time. Fourth of all, it's a waste of time. Fifth of all, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Okay? It's not this grandiose idea that I just love people so much that I don't want to name call them. No, I can't stand these fools, and I wish they would poof themselves out of my life. At the same time, I don't have the time to be hating on people. And I don't have that desire to hate people anymore. And I used to. I used to pray that I could have the strength to hate people. You know how how much energy that takes, because I thought that was the only way I could survive, is that I had to hate people. I had to hate them so much. I really believed that. Really, it wasn't a facade. It wasn't a put on. It wasn't me trying to be rah rah rah. Like, I really believed that the only way I could survive is if I hated people. And a lot of people still move through life like that. That's why the me of today can, some people say to me, Tibby, you know they don't like you over there. They be calling you all these names and saying all, how can you be around them? Because as much as they don't know, that's one of them. And they don't know it not because they're incapable of it. They don't know stuff because they don't want to know it. As I said before, people don't want to know stuff because it makes them uncomfortable. Letting go of the old is uncomfortable. And sometimes it's painful. I know, because I've had to let go of so much in my life: materialistic things, emotional things, sentimental things, mental things. I've had to let go of so much in my life. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's not easy. So people don't want to let go of what they think they know. And when people see me and I'm smacked dead in their face, they realize that they actually didn't know anything when it comes to things about me or things about people like me. And for them to let go of even the cloud, the outline of knowledge that they thought they had, and for them to have to accept that it wasn't even real, it wasn't even true what they thought, they can't do it. And I understand what that's like. I understand what it's like to survive off of hate. So while I don't want any of these people in my life, I understand them. Because to have people like that in your life is toxic. Because I was toxic to the people in my life. Because I wasn't working on myself. I wasn't doing what I needed to do to make myself a better person. I wasn't doing what I needed to do to make me the goal in my life, not some outside source. Am I grateful for the spirits? Yes. Am I grateful for the ancestors? Yes. Am I grateful for God? Yes. But they are not my goals in life. They are my support system. They are my cheerleaders. They are my reason for being born. But now I am my reason for continuing. I am my reason for living. My descendants are my reason. I was my ancestors' reason, and now my descendants. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? People, you know, I noticed something about humanity, that we focus so much on the past, right? And as somebody who's gone through severe and extreme trauma, right? As a child and as a very young adult, the focus it was always on the past, right? What did the leaders do back in the day? What did the saints do back in the day? What somebody did to me is how I am who I am today. And these things are true. These things are true. But I also have a future in front of me if I wake up tomorrow morning. If I wake up from my nap that I'm probably going to take today, because I take naps. Um, I do my work, I do my introspection, and I take my naps, okay? What all these people from the past, right? All these, I do what I need to do for myself, right? All these people who did what they did in the past, amazing, great, some of them not so great. But for the people who did the great things that we like to set as our future, how can we keep doing this? How can we take the past and push it over the present into the future and say this is so it's just this complete, it's like a guinea pig running in the wheel. When you take the past, right? When you take the past and you push it over your present into the future, you are just a guinea pig running on a wheel. The future, like I said, we are so uncomfortable with the unknown, with the foreign, with the unfamiliar, that we can't say to ourselves, I don't know what the future holds. I know what they did in the past. I know that I am here now today, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the future. I might be able to use what happened in the past as some skeleton of a blueprint, as some skeleton of a plan, but I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I'm okay with that. Most of us can't do that, can't do this because most of us are taught that to live like this is wrong. To live like this is bad because we have all these people from the past who did all these great things. So why not just take the easy way out and just follow what the other people did? Now, granted, I am a person who respects the people from the past. I got Petufi Shandor here and Motoi Shandor here, and I got Martin Luther King Jr. here. I understand what the people of the past, how their life and their lives have contributed to my mental and to my push for things. But I'm the one that's pushing toward the future, not them, me. And each of us in our lives, excuse me, have to realize that all of those people from the past, even if focusing on the future is too much in your present state, okay, that's fine. But all of those people from the past, they were the future for somebody else, right? You have to understand that they didn't know things. They weren't amazing because they did all these things that we see today. Those people, Martin Luther King Jr. was amazing to me because he did all that stuff he did knowing that he wouldn't reap the benefits of it. He knew it. He did it because he knew I'm doing it for the future. I'm not doing it for right now. Right now, they were still getting beat. They were getting sprayed with that hard water. They were getting burned and lynched. He already knew what the tea was, right? Patufi Shandor, he knew. It is Edu. The time is here, bitch. The time is now. Like, what are you doing? The time is still here. The time is still now. He knew he was talking to the future. He knew it. He knew, okay, I'm going to die, but when I die, what can I do to help the future? Not the past. The past is already the past. What can I do for the future of things? But a lot of us don't live like this. And Madhu Chandra, even he said, love is the answer. And although, like I said, love is not a priority for me, I understand that love of myself is the answer. Love of the future, love of my descendants, love for what I can leave for people in the future. That's the answer for me now in the present. And a lot of these revolutionaries and a lot of these people from the past, they understood this. But that's not how we read them. How we read them is, oh, well, they did this great. Even Nikola Tesla. You think he built all that stuff and how it's from? Because he's like, well, I'm just going to do this and then I can do all this stuff now. No, he knew, okay, let me do this. And I see that the people before me did this, but I can make it 10 times better, 100 times better. And I'm going to leave it here. And then they're going to see this. And in the future, look at what they're doing. And whether you like or love or hate Elon Musk, you think Tesla wouldn't be proud of what he did? Granted, some of his morals are questionable, but we talking about specifically the work of Tesla. All these people that they did, even Jesus Christos, his life was SHIT, sugar honey iced tea, okay? But he knew what I'm doing today is going to help all these people in the future, right? He might have known, he might not have. Because remember, although he was the Son of God, according to the Bible, he was still living in human form. So there were things he didn't know. All he knew was, I need to do this for the future. So for me, that's how I live my life. I see what happened in the past, I keep it on me as a reminder, but I look towards the future. I'm grateful for the present, and I look towards the future. The future 5 minutes, the future 1 minute, the future 10 years, the future 1,000 years, whatever the future is, it's not now. What I just said, it's already in the past. You know, even, and people say, but that's such a grandiose way of thinking. That's so metaphysical, so supernatural. It is and it isn't. Because I think about, okay, even I can ground what I'm saying and make it very realistic, right? Very livable, very doable. Sometimes people say shit about me that I don't like, and that in the past it used to hurt my feelings because I care for these people and I care what they thought about me, right? And sometimes when I'm alone, which is a lot, and I think about the things people said to me, and I feel some type of way about it. Sometimes that way is sadness. Every now and then it's sadness. Excuse me. But then I think about it. That's in the past. And it's very hard for me to do that because it just is sometimes, right? But I go, sometimes I think and I go, I wonder if those people would say the same things about me today, right? If they would feel the same way about me, or if I would feel the same way about them that I did back then when they said those things about me, you know? And I won't ever know the answer to that because I don't ever want to see those people again in life. I pray for them. I pray for them that they do better things with their life and use their time in a more productive way than talking shit about people and doing hurtful things to people. Um, but when I look back on the past, right, and I realize that those things, and this is a work in progress for me, and this is something that I probably will still be working on when I take my last breath on this earth. If Jesus don't come before that, that the things that happened to me in the past, each and every single last one of them, are how I got here. Right now, sitting here, trying to build up my cold tolerance. uh, you know. So, am I grateful that people took my innocence as a child? No. Am I grateful that people beat on me? No. Am I grateful that people starved me and then made me stand in the pantry overnight without eating? No. Am I grateful that somebody who was supposed to care for me told me that love meant me letting them do things with my body when I was 6? No. Am I grateful that people called me prostitute when I was walking through the street with my bike? No. Am I grateful that people multiple times yelled out nigger while I was walking down the street? No. Am I grateful that when I walk past people and they move their children behind them and look at me funny, am I grateful for those experiences? Not really. Uh, am I grateful for what those experiences taught me about myself? Yes. Yes. It's, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm learning that most things are two-headed. And as a person that lives with three mental illnesses, I'm always researching to try to find out better ways to cope with them, better ways to live my life, better ways to thrive in spite of these mental illnesses, right? And I was looking up one of the mental illnesses that I live with is borderline personality disorder. And I was looking it up, and I'm always trying to like figure out what's the core of all these things and how does it like relate to my everyday life, if how does it alter my vision and my reality of things, right? So I was looking up borderline personality disorder, and someone had this image of like two heads but facing out from each other. And when I saw that, so much in my life made sense to me, and I was like, oh my god, that's it right there, right? But then I realized like, and I think that's why I did so well. If you guys are interested, I won my awards in theatrics when I was in high school because I'm very good at stuff like that. And it's like the trauma that I went through as a child taught me how to compartmentalize things and how to put things in boxes. That's also one of the reasons why I find relationships so difficult, because I always put people not in a box, like I can't see them outside of the box, but kind of it is like that. And that's how I know it's not a good thing, you know. And I fight to like take people out of the box, or to just leave. I call it leaving the lid off the box. Like, you're in the box because it's a safety thing for me, right? But I'm gonna leave the lid off the box, and you're free to jump out of the box whenever you want. But it's also taught me like that most things in life are very double sided, right? Where you have like the shitty things that happened to me in my life, they were very shitty and they were very life altering, but they were life altering in good ways too. Like, because of what happened to me as a child and as a young adult, and even into my 30s and 40s, I I began to isolate from people. But what I realized was that this living a life of solitude is something that I always wanted. It's something that I always needed. Now, could I have come to that realization without the trauma? Probably, probably. But I didn't go that path. My life went the very traumatic way, and that's what happened. That's in the past, the present, and the future, unfortunately, because that's how childhood trauma works, and that's how most trauma works. And one from the time that it occurs into the future, it's usually there. Um, but it's taught me, and I remember when I was first starting to understand how the effects of the trauma on my life, and I was so angry. I was so angry, and I was so enraged because I thought it was the most unfair thing that could have ever happened. You know what I mean? And not up until, like, I would say a year ago, is when I realized, when the universe helped me to see and to discover that your trauma can also, not the trauma itself, but your coping with it can be your saving grace. You're living with it and not seeing it as the enemy. It can be your saving grace. The people who did what they did, they're the enemies. But the trauma itself, it can you can use it to help you get through life. It's like having trauma in my life is like having an annoying friend. Like you really love this person. You really do. Like they almost become a part of you, right? Because you kind of can't see yourself. They're so fucking annoying, right? You just want to punch them in the face most of the time. But if somebody else try to punch him in the face, you're gonna punch that other person. For me, that's a very basic way and a kind of lighthearted way to understand the trauma in my life. For other people, I'm pretty sure that it could be the same or different. But for me, that's how it is. And also understanding that the intellect that I have and the capacity for knowledge that I have has also been my saving grace because I'm able to look at my trauma from an outside perspective and from an internal perspective. And I'm very grateful for that. That's something that I'm extremely grateful for because I don't trust people enough to let them in my life like that. And I've had multiple therapists. And I had one really good therapist, right? And I realized that I don't have any trust for people. I don't. And I always said to myself, I could never trust anybody to help me. Like I just couldn't, right? And so throughout my life, right, I'm learning and understanding that accepting the truth is one of the greatest gifts and greatest things that you can give to yourself and that can be shown to you, that can be you can discover whatever label you want to put on it, right? And so I used to always look at not trusting people as this really bad thing and this really prohibitive thing and this obstacle that I could never jump over, right? Because I remember when I was in college, actually I studied psychology because I was trying to understand myself. And there's a psychologist, I believe he's a social psychologist, Eric Erickson, and he's my favorite psychologist, right? Because he his theory on the human development has helped me to understand myself. And there is a portion in his theory. It's the stage of trust versus mistrust. And when I read that and read like there's like effects of it if it develops well, effects of it if it develops abnormally, right? And that helped me understand so much about my life, right? And I remember there was a time in my life where I was like, okay, I have this understanding, but I still don't trust people. And I always thought that once I understood it, then I would start to trust people. And I still don't trust people. And I'm almost 50 years old and I still don't trust people. And I said, well, then I'll never, you know, and then I got sad about it and all this stuff because I'm like, well, I'll never have like a normal anything with anybody, right? And I started understanding that as counterintelligent as this may sound, and I'm aware of it, I'm gonna say it anyway. That not trusting people doesn't prohibit me from having healthy relationships with people. And I know this because I love my daughter and my daughter is in my life. I love her so much. And while it's very difficult for me to just automatically trust people, I've realized that trust is something, although Eric Erickson, like he says that it's a like very malformed being you will have, and obviously, it's clear that that happened to me. But I look at trust now not as like a virtue. I look at it more as like a skill. And a skill is something that you can learn, right? So while I don't think I'll ever be able to like completely trust somebody, I do understand like there are steps that I can take to like have my version of trust in someone. And this is the, the trauma helped me to understand this because it's nothing that I can do about it. It's nothing that I can do about it. I can't go, I don't have a time machine. So I can't go back in time and redo my childhood. That's why I'm such an advocate for people treating kids right, and children having discipline and understanding and knowledge of themselves and their bodies, because when you don't have these things, and this I have to say this, that I think that the way people tell children that you should listen to adults, don't tell your kids that. Tell your kids that they should listen to themselves and their bodies. And if what you know about yourself, this is a thing. I feel like when people see children, they see them as cute little incapable things, and that's not true. When I was 6 years old, I was very capable. Okay. And if somebody had told me what I told my daughter when she was 5 and 6 years old, maybe what happened to me wouldn't have happened to the extent that it happened. Or I would have recognized it right away that, hey, this is not right. Like, this person is not supposed to be doing this. This is not the way you love somebody. But nobody ever taught me that, right? They just taught me if an adult tells you to do something, you fall down on the ground to do it, right? It doesn't matter. Just if an adult tells you to do something, you do it. And this is not okay. Like, this is 1,000% not okay. This is why children get abused. This is one of the main reasons because, as a child, children, children are aware that they don't know stuff. Now, maybe they can't verbalize, I don't know this. Some of them can, but a lot of them don't. But they know it intrinsically. They know it. Like, I don't know something. So they have this hesitation when they have these feelings in their gut that this is not right. They hesitate not because they think their gut is wrong, but they hesitate because they know they don't have all the information that they would need to like process this new information, right? So a lot of kids will let people do things to them, and let is things will happen to children because they're trying to like work all this stuff out, and no one's giving them the proper tools to say, hey, you know if you know that feeling in your gut that you don't even know where it's coming from, but when you wanted that piece of candy and you were getting ready to steal it, but you felt like you shouldn't. That feeling is a good feeling. Like, they don't break it down for kids like that. They just tell them, if this person is older than you, do what they say. That's how I was raised, right? And it wound up fucking me up for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So I had to like relearn everything about myself. I had to relearn everything about other people. I had to relearn, and I always thought that the way to learn these things was to like immerse myself in other people, to constantly be surrounded by other people. But what happened was, because I hadn't fully dealt with the trauma, and I still didn't understand everything that I needed at that moment, because I'm still understanding things about myself just as a human being outside of like, okay, the trauma is there, but I'm a human being, so things that are just innate to all human beings, and then things that come with being a human being that's been traumatized, you know? So I didn't have enough information to be like, okay, this is not what I should be doing. I need to be doing it. I didn't have the information, right? And I only got the information after doing it the wrong way, right? And I realized that for me, what works best is a life of solitude, like a very solitary existence. That's what works best for me. Am I around people sometimes? Yes, but these are very specific people, people who I, as close to trust as I can get, I trust them. Okay. And it's not the kind of trust that probably most people would see as trust, but it's the kind of trust that I can give. I know what I'm capable of when it comes to trust, and I know that it's something that's extremely difficult for me. So, as close as I can get to trust is what I have for these people. So, outside of those individuals, I don't really talk to too many people, and I like it like that. And I also, it's not only that I like it like that, but it's what works for me. It's what keeps me calm. It's what keeps me as sane as I can be given the circumstances and the conditions and the consequences of my childhood. So it's what I do. Now I'm aware that people don't understand this about me, and I'm aware that people don't like this about me. I'm also aware that people feel entitled to my life. They are not, uh, but I'm aware of it. So when I go through life, I take this knowledge with me, and so when people act like buffoons, demanding things from me that they are not entitled to, I'm able to stay calm because I understand where they're coming from. That's why for me, the focus is not on love. The focus is not on other things. For me, the focus is on understanding, respect, and peace. That's what keeps me me, and it keeps me okay with myself. Because anything outside of those three things makes me very angry and makes me very enraged with people. So I focus on those three things. And as long as I have those three things in my life, I'm pretty much okay with myself. Other people are not okay with me, but I'm not concerned with the 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 desires because they're not needs. People don't need to be in my life. They want it. They want to be in my life because they're trying to distract themselves from their own lives. So people don't need to be in my life, and people don't need me in their lives. The people who need me in their lives are very respectful of me. So when I see people clamoring at my person and trying to, I know they're not for me. That's a telltale sign. And that right there is something that I feel is universal. If you have somebody in your life who's constantly clamoring at you, they're probably not for you. Because somebody who needs you, if you want to use that word, somebody who needs you in their life is gonna respect you. It's just the truth of it. There's no way, no other way to say it. If somebody needs you in their life, because even if at first they kind of do the clamoring thing, they're gonna realize that that's not working, and they're gonna analyze the situation again. If they really need you, they're gonna analyze, unless they're a fucker and they just want to fuck themselves over and not have somebody that they need in their life. You have those fools. But if it's somebody who really needs you in their life and they know this is what they need, then they will back off, right? And they will do whatever they need to do to satisfy the need of you in their lives. So somebody constantly, and I know because like I said, when I talk and when I say these things, most of the time I'm talking to myself. So like there were people in my life who I wanted in my life. I didn't need them in my life, but I wanted them in my life because I didn't want to be alone, right? Because at that time, this was when I was in my 20s. At that time, I felt like I had to have people in my life in order to feel better because I knew I was fucked up. That's something that I've always known my entire life. I just didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to stop being fucked up. I just knew, okay, you're fucked up, right? And so at that time in my life, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to have people in my life. And so long as I have people in my life, then I know I'm a good person. Because how could these people be in my life if I wasn't a good person? That's how I saw it. But that had nothing to do with it, had nothing to do with me being a good person. because they knew themselves that they didn't need me in their lives, and they knew that, I don't know if they knew that I didn't need them, but they knew they didn't need me. But they wanted something from me, and they knew I'd give anything because I wanted to be in their, I wanted them in my life. So it was this very toxic symbiosis, you know. And you know, and then when I realized that having these people in my life, it wasn't helping me at all. Quite the opposite. I was worse. I was feeling worse about myself after they left my life, right? And after having them in my life, because I was expecting them to like fix me, and I was expecting them to like be this Jesus Christos in my life, and they never were. They never were. Never. And yeah. So then, after I would still keep having people in my life and still say no. And then it got to the point where I literally started paying people to be in my life. I would say if somebody needed something, I'd be like, no, I'll buy it for you. I would buy them clothes and shoes. If they needed something to eat, I would. If they said I don't have any, even if I didn't really have the money, like if I had bills to pay, I would give them the money. Oh yeah, that's why I say to people, like, man, the journey that I've gone on in my life, you wouldn't even know I was. It's like three or four different people. So sometimes when people try to say things about me, or when people try to make me feel bad at myself, that's how I can laugh, because I know me. I know me from the beginning, and they don't. They only see 5 seconds of me, and they don't know me, and I don't want them to either. So I'm happy that what they see, they take it and they run with it, because then I know I'm protected from them, because they won't ever know me from the beginning. And that used to bother me, right? It used to make me very sad, because I would say to myself, well, how can I trust somebody, or how can I love somebody, because nobody's been there from the beginning. And I don't want and I used to say to myself for years, I said to myself, I don't want anybody in my life if they haven't been with me from the beginning. I don't want people to just reap the benefits of the good Tammy, right? And, and lately it's only like about, I would say about 3 years ago maybe, and I'm just giving throwing out a number because I don't even remember the specific time. But over time I realized that, like, there is no one except for myself and the spirits, right, and the ancestors. There is no one who will have been with me from the beginning. No one. No one. And so this was a very unrealistic requirement that I had for people in my life. And then I said, okay, well, I'll let go of that if I can understand what I really needed from people. And what I need from people is authenticity, right? And that's something that most people don't have, and they don't give it, right? And so for me, I'm the type of person where, and you know, it's not a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's who I am. I'm the type of person where I always test people. And some people say, you shouldn't do that. That's bad. Okay, it's who I am, right? And I've tried to let go of that part of myself, and it's still hanging around. So I always want to see people at their worst and at their best, right? And I want them to see me at my worst and at my best. And if at the end of that, right, we're still around, then okay. The people who are in my life right now have seen me at my worst and my best, and I've seen them at their worst and their best. And that's how they're still in my life. I don't want any inauthentic fake people in my life. Not none. And I realize that for a lot of people this is uncomfortable for them. This is like well, even when people, just something simple like going on a date with somebody, they'll say like, well, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this, and I'm thinking to them like, is this something that you do every day, even if they're not around? I mean, why would you do all this extra stuff for this person that you barely know? That's all I'm saying. But people people live like that, and people think that's how you're supposed to go through life, you know. I don't agree with that. I don't. Now, do I think you should show up funky and stanky and not brush your teeth and your hair looking a hot mess, and you put your feet up on the table and scratching your genitals and your bum hole when you sit? But I don't do that in my everyday life. Like if I have to scratch, I'm gonna go to the toilet, pee, wipe myself, wash my hands, come back down. I don't like sitting in the bed and I'm stinky. I go get up, take a shower, spray. And this is, I spend 90% of my time by myself. So stuff that I do for myself, I'm not gonna do more for somebody else than I'm doing. I'm not gonna get all dressed up for you, and I'm not gonna get undressed up for myself. What is that? You know, like some people, they'll see me and they'll see me with lipstick on, and they'll be like, "Oh, where are you going?" And I'm like, "To the supermarket." And they're like, "Yeah, but why are you wearing lipstick?" Because I wanted to wear lipstick. I like lipstick. I want to put it on. If I'm just going to the supermarket, put my earrings on. I spray me some perfume because it makes me feel nice. I'm not gonna do something for somebody else that I'm like that's like super super good, and I'm not gonna do it. And just sometimes I get dressed, and then I don't really do too much. I don't like go out and go see. Hey everybody, look, I got dressed today. But this is how a lot of us are raised. I'm gonna stop talking now because it's raining and I want to enjoy the rain. But I love y'all. Ciao for now, and love yourselves. Bye, baby.